Hello there, another tier list maker thing. My name's Dan, I like talking about Warhammer, a bit of a Warhammer veteran. These tier maker videos actually take ages because you've got to download all the pictures and then upload all the pictures. They don't just come like preloaded, which is really rubbish. But if you want to go on tier maker and have a look at my stuff, it's available somewhere, and you can do your own rankings and things, which would be quite interesting. See if we can get like a community vote going. Anyway, this one we're going to be talking about light cavalry. In previous videos, I've missed units, and I apologise for that. Human oversight. These videos have also generated quite a bit of discussion because it's all based on opinion, right? So these are all just my opinions. If you disagree with them, it's fine. Like, I'm really happy to be proven wrong. So, get in the comments and tell me what you think. These are just my opinions, just based on reading the rules, especially for light cavalry, because I've used some skeleton horse archers, haven't I, so far? Oh, and I've used some saber tusks in battles and some warhounds. Actually, no, so there's a little bit of experience, but it's mostly from playing against them as well. But anyway, I think I've fought against all of this. In fact, I've not fought anybody with any razorgors. I think everything else is a yes. Yes, I've played against all of these apart from the razorgor. Cool. So let's start off at the beginning with centigors. Where am I going to put centigors? Let's get the rules up. Let's get the rules up. Let's get the rules up. I don't know why I'm doing that. That's annoying. Stop it. Right. Centigors are definitely light cavalry. So part of the reason is, so what do I call light cavalry and what do I call heavy cavalry? There was a bit of discussion about why I lumped in monstrous cavalry with heavy cavalry, because to me they're just super heavy cavalry. It's the same battlefield role. You've got a wide unit that needs to travel a long distance in a short period of time, and when it gets there, it thumps the enemy. Some cavalry units are thump and grind, so they can thump the unit and then grind them down. Like Chaos, for instance, because they've got high strength, high toughness, high save, high AP, just on standard weapons. They've got AP1 just on normal hand weapons. So they're really good at like grinding down the opposition when they get there, and high attacks and high everything really. Whereas some units are incredibly thumpy but have no grinding potential. That sounds a bit weird. Anyway, but think like Empire or Bretonnian knights. It's only strength 3, no AP. So once they've done their initial impact, you've got a series of pretty weak, no AP attacks coming at you. So they really need to be charging. Any hoot. So that's to me that's the heavy calories. That kind of real heavy punch. That's the you'll often see heavy cavalry. I think first charge isn't definitive of what in my mind is a heavy cavalry unit, but that rule is kind of reflective of heavy cavalry, something that can just punch through a unit of infantry. As light cavalry don't tend to do that. They tend to skirt around, and they tend to need to get into like flanks and rear charges. They need the unit to be engaged in the front, and then they come in as support, basically. Or they've got missile weapons, and that's their job on the table, is to just run around doing missile-y stuff. Anyway, centigors. Now, centigors are objectively bad, apart from the fact that they're in Beastmen, and I think they're one of the few things in Beastmen that has Swift Stride. So, because like 19 points for... Okay, toughness 4 is quite good. We've got shields. I think... No, you can't give them... You can't give them light armour. So, they've literally only got a 6-up save from the shield. I know toughness 4 is decent, but still... they are definitely light cavalry. Really, really flaky. They can take throwing spears, which aren't great. They can take javelins. Again, they're not great either. They can take cavalry spears, you know, which are okay. They can decide not to have a save and go for great weapons, which is all right, but you can't, like, I suppose you can frenzy them accidentally through primal fury, but that's by no means reliable. And they do have one stomp attack each, which is quite interesting. Strength 4, no AP, but still it's quite interesting. And they have this rule, Drunken, which I shall try to find, because I forgot what it does. Oh yeah, it can be slower, they can be sobering up, or they can get a frenzy. But only for a turn, and it sort of wears off because it's alcoholic. I mean, yeah, they're not great, are they? I'm erring towards like C. I think I don't think they're absolutely terrible, because they're not. You know, they're pointed to be terrible, but like. And I guess, or maybe they are D tier. I don't know. We'll see how we go with those. Then we've got the humble razorgor, which, when I find the bloody thing, razorgor, there's the razorgor herd. So I'm also putting like in cavalry like beasts and stuff, because it's all about battlefield roles. So again, these are like cavalry like units, because you know, movement 7, swift stride, right? Light, no armor really. It's got a 6 up save. It's got toughness 5, which means it's pretty tough to get through. It does do impact hits. They are AP because it's got razor tusks. So they are AP 1 impact hits. It also means that this hand weapon becomes AP. So razor tusks gives you +1 AP on your tusks when you charge. So you've got AP 1 attacks at strength 5, 4 attacks. That's pretty good. And they're actually quite cheap. So it's like little single units to kind of dot around the tabletop and just like maneuver around, and just little bullets to fire at things every now and again. They're pretty decent, actually. They're pretty good at that. I quite like razorgors. I think they're probably A tier in terms of the utility that you get out of them. But, you know, again, all of this is really flaky if people concentrate on it. And I suppose the final thing, so this is Chaos Warriors and Chaos Beastmen have warhounds. Now, warhounds are an interesting unit because they have, you can give them light armor, but there's no point. You can give them poisoned attacks, but there's no point. They're a really good cheap screen for Warriors of Chaos. So if you need a screening unit and you don't have a load of skirmishing Forsaken, having a really cheap, dirt cheap unit of Chaos Warhounds makes sense, because they're only 5 points each, which in the Chaos roster is about the cheapest. Sorry, 6 points each, which within the Chaos roster is the cheapest thing you can buy by a country mile. So, you know, for 100 points, you can have 3 units of 5 of these, just sort of gumming up the table. And you can give them Vanguard move, so you can correct redeployment, you know, you can correct deployment errors with them and stuff like that. So, you know, they're pretty good. For Beastmen, however, so that for Warriors of Chaos, I'd say they're probably A tier. However, for Beastmen, they're probably C tier, because there's so much other cool stuff that Beastmen have access to that they don't really need the Warhounds. Warhounds are weirdly weapon skill 4. Every other part of their stat line is 3, but apart from weapon skill 4. So that's interesting. Cool. So what have we got next? Let's finish off Chaos. These are marauder horsemen. Marauder horsemen. I think marauder horsemen, because they are a core choice, I think they're really good because they're so cheap. So you've basically got movement 8, which is one faster than knights, and again, as I've said before, 1 inch can make all the difference. They've got fire and flee if you want that. The thing is, you can give them a mark, right? So you can give them, for instance, the mark of corn, which makes them frenzied. You can then give them flails. Now, a flail is basically a lance. It's +2 strength and AP2 on the charge, and just AP2 otherwise. So you keep the AP. Flails are better than lances, in my opinion, because you only get the strength bonus on the charge, but you keep the AP bonus with the flail, whereas with the lance you don't. So they're really, really good, like little bullets again to fire at the opposition, because you got 8 +9 for swift stride, 17-inch threat range is pretty good, and then because you've got them frenzied, you can double up, and you've got double attacks and so on and so forth. So these are really good and actually quite manoeuvrable. You can get them round. Because they've got a fast cavalry, so they get their free pivot. If they're open order, they get their free pivot at the end of a march move as well, so they can move 16 inches and get their free pivot. So they're very good. They're very good for the costs, because it's like 12, 13, 15 points per model, which is incredibly cheap for something that's so fast. I mean, they're not as cheap and good as Orc Boar Boys, for instance, but that's why Orc Boar Boys are S tier, and these are probably bottom end of A tier, maybe top end of B tier. Not sure yet. We'll have a look at relative rankings when I've done them all, because light cavalry is quite difficult, because every faction's got like their unit of light cavalry, and that's about it. So comparing and contrasting, actually quite difficult. Anyway, dark riders. I don't think I've got dark elves open, have I? Lizards, dark elves. So dark riders, yep. They're quite cheap. You probably want to give them repeater crossbow. Well, you might want to give them. They're in a difficult place really, because repeater crossbows aren't really very good for like moving and shooting. So you still have to pay move and shoot, because they don't have quick shot. They don't have march and shoot, so you're only limited to moving 9 inches if you do this. But then you're moving and you're doing a multiple shots weapon. So yes, they get 2 shots each. However, they're hitting both of those shots on 5s. So there's lots of shots that aren't massively likely to hit. They're only strength 3. I think they've got armor bane 1, have repeater crossbows. So they're okay, but if you've got a unit of 5 of them, you've got like 10 shots, like 3 will hit. Maybe 1 you get armor bane on and 1 wounds. Like, for 80 points, is it really worth that? Do they do anything else on the table other than just sort of, They automatically have spears, so they've got some utility, like hunting down war machines. And I think realistically that's probably their job, is to kind of get around the flanks and start to hunt down war machines and lone characters that are kind of behind the back of the board and pick them off, really. And, I suppose giving them scouts fulfills that role. So, yeah, they've got scouts. So if that's their job, then I guess they're okay at it. But they're not great, are they? Let's face it. There's nothing really that says they're fantastic. I'm going to put them down as C tier. I think they're worse than centigors. Are they much worse than centigors? I'm not sure. Then we've got the vampire counts and dire wolves, which are the only real kind of lightish, cavalry-ish unit they've got. Again, they're cheap, 8 points. They are only toughness 3. They have 1 wound. They have they have their regen save, which is again quite good. They've got reserve move, which is again fairly good. So, and their strength 4 when they charge. So that's all okay. But they are like 8 points each, so 5 of them's 40. I guess they're okay. Again, and they get reserve move. And they're open order, so they get to move 9 inches, pivot, move 9 inches, another pivot. So they're pretty manoeuvrable. Actually, they're alright, aren't they? They're probably B tier. They're definitely better than Chaos Warhounds. Then we've got ellyrian reavers. Now, I absolutely hate ellyrian reavers. Like, I think they're absolute trash. And if you buy me a pint, I'll tell you what I really think. No, they're just awful. Well, like they just don't do anything. And where the hell have they gone? Here we are. They're in reavers. So the 16 points. It's really useful. I always find to compare them with like dark riders, or compare them with their dark elf cousins. So dark riders start at 16 points. These guys start at 16 points. They have to pay 2 points for a short bow. They can pay 2 points for a repeated crossbow. You know. Now a short bow, I think, doesn't a short bow have quick shot? Yeah. So it doesn't have march and shoot, I don't think, does it? No, it's just quick shot and volley fire. Right. So these guys get quick shot. Their harbinger has 1 extra ballistic skill. So, you know, if there's 5 of them, they're shooting probably, you know, if we're not considering range, we're probably shooting and hitting on like 3s. 2s and 3s, which, you know, you might get like 4 hits, but they don't have bugger, but they don't have armor bane or anything like that, so they're probably about as good shooting wise as their dark elf cousins. Got the same sort of range on stuff. These have light armor. I think that the dark elves have light armor. Harbinger can take magic. Now these have to pay extra for scouts. Did these were 1 point for scouts. They don't have fire and flee, so ellyrian reavers can't fire and flee, and they can't buy it. They can be scouts and they can be skirmishers. Okay. These are open order and skirmishers already. So I think dark riders are just better, I think. And again, you know, maybe I've misunderstood the point of ellyrian reavers, but like I just think they're awful. Like they just don't, you know, they don't even have Ithalmar barding. So, you know, they have to dangerous terrain checks. They don't get to re-roll the ones, which, you know, all the heavy cavalry in the high elf roster gets to re-roll ones. These guys don't. They haven't even given them Ithalmar armor. It's a very weird unit. It just feels like there's been a bit of an oversight in terms of how good they've made them, because they've just made them terrible. They're just fast cavalry that can take short bows, which just don't really do any damage. So, what's the point? Again, I suppose they're okay at hunting. I think they're terrible. Dark Riders, yeah, I think Dark Riders are at the bottom of C, top of D. These are definitely worse than Dark Riders. Cool, and then we have a whole different prospect in Glade Riders, which is about here. Ooh. Look at that. Right, Glade Riders. Okay, so glade riders have asrai longbows instead of short bows. See page 147. Of course, although it's blue, it's not actually linked. Now, asrai longbows have 32-inch range, armor bane 1, volley fire. Right, worth bearing in mind. Because so these have a much longer range. They are 2 points more expensive. Same move, same kind of get up. They don't have any armor, however, so they're a bit. I mean, like a 6-up save or no save is more or less the same thing. Lots of stuff has AP and armor bane, so you know more or less the same thing. They can take enchanted arrows, and you know as we'll see in a sec, you'll probably want to do Hagbane tips. But we'll see in a sec why. The champion can take. You can take ambushers. You can give them drilled, which is pretty weird. You can give reserve move, which you know I think reserve. That's so they've got. Let's talk about basics. They've got fire and flee, so they can fire and run away. They're open order, which is great, so they get a free pivot. They're fast cavalry, so they get a free pivot even at the end of a march. Reserve move, I think, is really worth it, though, because you get to move your 9 inches, you get to shoot, and then you get to move again. So you basically get to pivot twice because you're open order. So you get to sort of move towards the enemy, pivot, move elsewhere. Pivot, shoot, move elsewhere. So yes, they don't have quick shot, so they're a bit worse when they're shooting. But I think they're really good. You know, you can upgrade to have Hagbane tips, which makes them 20 points. Give them reserve move, which makes them 21 points. You know, you're talking about 100 and something points for 5, you know, semi-decent wizard hunters. Or missile... Oh, the dog's over there. Or missile weapon, you know, or kind of war machine hunters, you know, 100 points for that. Or just, you know, a little unit that's unit strength 10 that can just take out somebody's ranks just with a nice little flank charge. So, you know, I think they're really good. When I say really good, I think they're probably the top of B at least, aren't they? Let's put them top of B, yeah. Goblin Wolf Riders next. Actually, no, let's do Sisters of the Thorn next, because they're literally underneath. Sisters of the Thorn are S tier light cavalry. Why? Because they've got these things called Blackbriar Javelins, which are move and shoot, march and shoot, and quick shot. 12-inch range, so they get to move 16 inches. They've got a 12-inch range, so this is 28-inch threat range. They are strength 3, AP 1 inbuilt, and look at their ballistic skills. So you're hitting on, so you don't suffer the -1 for move and shoot, probably do for range, but you're hitting on 2s and 3s, probably. Even after moving 16 inches. Fast cavalry, so you get a free pivot at the end because you're open order. So this is all really good. They're quite expensive. However, the main thing, they've got a 4-up ward, which means they're tough as nails, actually. You know, you can, if you spike and roll really well with your ward saves, these stay on the table for ages. They've also got this Deepwood Coven ability, which is just one of the best abilities in the game. They know a single spell chosen by the player before armies are deployed, either from battle magic or elementalism. One of the spells from elementalism is Plague of Rust, which is 21-inch curse minus 2 AP. So you quite often see 3 of these units in a Wood Elf list. At least 2 will be taking Plague of Rust. So essentially they can laser target, get rid of 2 armor save from it. Do you know what? I'm just going to check whether you can stack it. Maybe you can stack it. If you can stack it, then oh dear me. Plague of Rust. Target this. This spell may target an enemy unit engaged in combat as well. So it's got all the cool stuff about it. -2 modifier. So there's nothing to say it can't stack. So you could hypothetically do that twice. and get -4 armor save on a unit, which is pretty nasty. And then with all these special arrows that you've given the rest of your army, you can give the rest of your army poisoned attacks, which is that Hagbane tips. So you can negate the fact that they're only strength 3. So 6 is, well, to an extent. So 6 is to hit auto wound, and you might be at -2 or -4 to your armor save. So that's like the synergistic combo that works really well for wood elves. The other thing as well is there's quite a lot of spells in battle magic that you might just want to have, because they're quite useful. Earthen Ramparts is quite useful. 5 at ward, defended, low linear obstacle is pretty good. Battle magic has a similar one, but it's Oaken Shield. That's the caster's unit though, so it's worthwhile actually reading these spells, because often people think it's just it's not. Arcane Urgency could be pretty useful because you're wood elf, so you're maneuverable, so giving you the ability to just spam out move again sort of spells can be quite useful. Curse of Arrow Attraction is really good. Reroll hit ones of the natural one when shooting. And Pillar of Fire is just, I didn't realise this until somebody pointed it out the other day. I played an Empire player on Warhall last night, and I killed all of his characters with the Pillar of Fire. It's so good. It's like one of the best things. So that's another thing that you can take. You could also just give them 3 fireballs, because they cast these as a bound spell with +2 to cast. So A, bound spell can't miscast it. And B, with +2 to cast, right? 6+ is pretty reasonable. You know, Arcane Urgency is probably, 8+ is what you actually need, because you got +2 to it. That's not massively reasonable. Pillar of Fire again, these are kind of like your level 4 wizard spells, 9 and 10s. These are like your lower level wizard spell. But anyway, I mean, it's all, they've got a lot of choice. You need the champion, the handmaiden, and a standard bearer to make it power level 2. So it's about the characters, which is where you get your so they've got a really good missile weapon. They've got all the usual, they've got fire and flee as well. They haven't got evasive, so I'd mark them down a little bit for that. They've got poisoned attacks inbuilt. I don't think I've ever noticed that before. Like, they're just so good. They're so good. So where the hell have I put them? They're definitely S tier. Right, anything else from Wood Elves? No. Right. Anything? Let's do the rest of the good guy book. Now, I've put the dwarves like gyrocopters and stuff here, as some people will probably disagree and say that's not like cavalry at all, Dan. Well, I mean, where else would you put them? It's not really an artillery piece. It's not really it's like a mobile artillery, but they're not that good as artillery pieces. I think their ability is a bit like light cavalry, just kind of getting in the way a little bit and just like harassing the opponent, really. That's their role. So their role is a light cavalry role, despite the fact that they're down as monstrous cavalry, but they're not monstrous cavalry. Because like I said, heavy cavalry to me, it's about punching through the enemy lines, whereas light cavalry is about kind of chip damage all over the place. Right, so let's have a look at a gyrocopter. Gyrocopters are probably S tier as well. That's a big claim, isn't it? So they are semi-decent in combat because they've got impact hits. So again, they're good war machine hunters. They're good character hunters. They've got fly 9. They have got swift stride. They are skirmishers. They have fire and flee. They also have this dive bomb rule. So it moves over a unit. So this is once per game. Move over a unit. You do D6 strength 3 hits with an AP of 1. Again, if you've got like, if they're hiding their wizard behind their unit and not in their unit, you can dive bomb the wizard. Because it's not a shooting attack. It's just an ability. So if they've got their little character, just sort of pop 18 inches over it, dive bomb the character. D6 strength 3 hits AP 1, could be good. You can take them in units of 1 to 6. You'd probably only want like units of 1. And the main reason for that is you've got normal unit coherency, and having like 3 or 4 of these in a unit would be really difficult to actually wield on the tabletop. And then you probably want... which one is it? Probably the brimstone gun, maybe. Mainly because it's got fewer attacks. However, it has more AP. It's got a higher strength. They've both got quick shot. So, oh no, you want the clatter gun because of move and shoot. That's what I was looking for. So move and shoot means march and shoot, which means basically you can fly this 18 inches and you still get some shots off. Not very good shots, but you do get some shots off. And these are dwarf crafted weapons, which do something cool. I've just forgotten what it is. Dwarf crafted. -1 to hit for stand and shoot. That's it. So, you know, they do have fire and flee, remember. So you can stand and shoot. You don't get your -1 modifier. And are they S tier though? Like objectively, I don't think they are really. I think they're A tier. They're probably bottom of A tier. It's just because of how dwarves play, they're kind of mandatory for dwarves at the moment. Then you've got the gyro bomber, which is a different thing entirely, and is not anywhere sensible, is it? Oh, was that? No. Gyrocopter. Gyro bomber. Here we go. Gyro bombers are a bit more expensive. So they're a bit more expensive. They've got the toughness. So the gyrocopter's toughness 5, 3 wounds, 2 attacks. This is toughness 5, 4 wounds. So it's got an extra wound. This is now technically a monstrous creature, although it's basically still light cavalry, and dwarves are weird. Anyway, so they can have steam gun, brimstone gun, clatter gun. Again, you probably want the clatter gun because of They can do a bombing run against a single enemy that's not engaged in combat, so it needs to fly over during the remaining moves phase, which is fine. 18 inch, 16 inch. And then you can do a mortar. So you can do take a wound. You can just bonk him on the head with a dud, which again still just loses a single wound, no save or ward or anything. I mean, direct hit. So you got a 5-inch mortar that scatters and bombs away, cluster of bombs, 2 small templates, scatter d6, strength 4, AP 1. So, you know, 2 to 6, they're all pretty decent results, right? But I don't know. Like, it's just a slightly better gyrocopter that's a bit more expensive and does a slightly better bombing run sort of thing. But this is better against like units, whereas really it's there for hunting like characters and war machines. So actually, kind of the dive bomb is better than this bombing run mechanic. But that's just in my opinion. So I don't think the gyro bombers are as good. They're probably... Yeah, they're probably B tier or maybe even top of C tier. I don't know. Because you're just basically paying an extra 35 points for an extra wound on the gyrocopter and slightly less... Yeah, I'm going to put them at top of C. Slightly less move as well. Right, what else have we got for the good guys? We've got some Empire stuff there and we've got some Bretonnian stuff there. Empire stuff. I think Empire's next, isn't it? Yeah. So Empire have got Pistoliers and Outriders, both of which are interesting, very, very interesting units. Pistolier, again, 16 points. It's pretty common pointage for light cavalry. 16 points. They have a brace of pistols, heavy armor. So again, heavy armor. So they're pretty well armored. Then they do have fire and flee. They've got fast cavalry. The veteran may have a grenade launching blunderbuss, which is pretty cool. They can have the vanguard rule, only 1 per 1,000. So in your 2k list, you can have 2 units of pistolier. The downside of them is impetuous, and they don't get to do anything cool with pistols when they charge in. So yeah, they've got a brace of pistols, which is pretty cool. Impetuous means occasionally they're going to charge into things you don't want them to. I would argue they've got counter charge, but again, they don't really get charging bonuses. So it's like, have I misunderstood what brace of pistols? Combat, extra attack 1, right? Shooting, multiple shot, quick shot. Yeah, I mean, it's just, so what? So they're gonna quite low range as well, isn't it? I think repeater pistols 12 inches. Yeah, so you're gonna move like, they don't have march and shoot. So in order to shoot your pistols, you got to move 8. You got a threat range of 20. They did have quick shot, didn't they? Yeah, they did have quick shot. So you're -1 probably for range and -1 for multiple shots. So you might be hitting on 6s to hit them with the strength or AP1. So like what, 10 shots with like a couple on 5s and then 8 6s. Like you might hit 2 or 3 times. Which again, you know, is okay chip damage, but still. But you don't have any way to get reserve move. No, they're not very good, are they, Pistolier? No, sadly. Which is annoying because they're quite cool. I do quite like them. I like the models and I like the kind of the ethos. Kind of gung-ho, kind of, you know, but no. And then outriders, who are apparently Pistolier that have grown up such that they've now got a decent ballistic skill. They do have repeater handguns, so these are 24-inch range, multiple shot, either D3 or 3, multiple shot 3. They are ponderous, which means you can't stand and shoot with them, I think. No, ponderous is... No, sorry. Ponderous is -2, so if you move and shoot with them, you're -2 to hit. Cumbersome is you can't stand and shoot, isn't it? So you're -2 to hit with these if you move, but not if not. The champion guy can take a grenade launching blunderbuss, which again is cool. I mean, jury's out on whether they're any good or not. They are just cool though. And we've got Vanguard, which again is quite useful. Fire and flee, fast cavalry. Fire and flee is not terrible because you're only going to be -1 and they got okay. So if there's 5 of them, for instance, you've spent like 100 odd points. Somebody charges in, you know, you stand and shoot with your repeater handguns. So you get 15 shots, only at -1 to hit. So that's probably on 4. So you got 7 or 8. So you know, when they get charged, they can do a bit of damage. They're not great in combat, so they're good wizard hunters, but they're not great war machine hunters, because to be a good war machine hunter, you've got to have an okay combat profile, because you've got to kill the crew, and sometimes the crew can be quite tough, especially like dwarf war machines. So I don't know. They're better than Pistolier, but not by much. They're probably... So, are they better than They're definitely... A Pistolier is better than centigors. Yeah, definitely. I need to do that at the end. I think they go here. Yeah, okay. And what was the other one? Oh, Bretonnians, wasn't it? Which is about here. Where is it? Ah, there. So, they've got the mounted yeomen, which... light armor, shields, short bows. So they got quick shot. Pardon me. These are actually pretty good because they're cheap. They've got ballistic skill 3, which is okay. Short bows mean you don't get move and shoot. They do have cavalry spears. They can take light armor and shields, which makes them 16 points, which is fine. You can give them feigned flight, so they get fire and flee, feigned flight, reserve move, peasantry, so killing them doesn't cause panic problems, skirmishing, open order, swift strides. They're really good. No, they're really good. Like as light cavalry go, like a unit, they're really good. To be honest, I think high elves would pick this over ellyrian reavers, like all that combination of rules. Because you can give them feigned flight. Feigned flight is really rare. Like you hardly ever see it. Like feigned flight is basically like fire and flee. If you use that to fire and flee, you are still fleeing at the end of your flee move, right? You have to then rally. Feigned flight means you automatically rally, which, you know, at leadership 6, that's massive, and only for only 2 points. Are you joking? Like, you rarely see feigned flight, fire and flee. If they had invasive as well, that would be like, oh my god, what is this? So yeah, they're really good. They're solid A tier, I think. They're not S tier. But they're, you know, these are, so in my mind, this is what this means. S means just auto include. A means really good. B is good. C is, no, they're all right. And D is, I wouldn't bother. That's that's my subjective scale. Just if anybody's confused. Right, so let's have a look at some bad guys now. Let's do the demons. Demons of chaos. Right, let's have a look. Seekers of Slaanesh. Where are they? There they are. So, okay, so the important thing to remember is that with Demons of Chaos, if you're Slaanesh, you get +1 to your charge, range, and result. So they're basically movement 10 when they're charging. Is fundamentally how you should see it. They are swift strides, so they've got a threat range of 19 inches, which is incredible. The steeds have poison attacks. They have a 5-up ward that doesn't work against magic stuff because all demons have a 5-up ward. So they're actually, as light cavalry go, they're pretty well armoured. They can have a demonic icon, but they're not very good. They've got countercharge, and they've got where are they? Piercing claws, which means the seekers all have an extra attack, which has something like Armor Bane 3 or AP 1 and Armor Bane 2 or something like that. Piercing claws are pretty good. They're at the end, aren't they? Piercing claws, AP 1, Armor Bane 2. Yeah. So they've got lots and lots of cool attacks. They are very, very quick. They're actually fairly well defended. To be honest, whilst I'm talking my way through this, I'm thinking this is one of the best units in the game. And they've got counter charge. They're if somebody's decent enough to get 19-inch threat range, like and a 5-up ward. I mean, they are quite expensive but then again, like 100 points for 5. You're spending 350 points for like 3 of these little units that's just going to nip around and just be a pain in the arse. They've got fast cavalry and open order, so they get their free pivot. They can skirmish anyway. Yeah, they're really good. I'm not sure they're S tier. Are they S tier? They're better than razorgors, definitely. But razorgors are still very good. I think we go there. Is anything else S tier? Yeah, hobgoblin. Anyway, we'll get on to that. Ooh, no, I think yeah. Let's leave it there. Cool, but they are very very good, very very good. Right, and then bad guys, other stuff, orcs. Let's do greenskins. Where are they? They're about there, I think. I've got to the chariots too quickly. Aha! Let's do spidders. Spidder out of mob. Yep. Now, they've got short bows. They can take cavalry spears and light armor. That makes them 15 points. They've got fast cavalry. They've got poisoned attacks just in general, so that applies to their missile weapons as well. They don't have skirmishes, so they're always open order. This is the type of unit that you want to take like 8 of them, 7 or 8, and stick them in a line so that you get all the poisoned attacks from shooting. They would be so much better if you could skirmish with them. Like, why spider riders have to rank up? It makes absolutely no sense. If you could skirmish these, they would be good. As it stands, they're okay. So C tier, I think they're based on what I've just said. Where do they rank? They are arguably better than pistoliers because they're a damn sight cheaper, but they're not probably as good as outriders. Then we've got wolf riders, which is they can take feigned flight, again really rare. They can have reserve move as well, so 0 to 1 per 1,000 become brilliant. They're 10 points each, so they're pretty cheap. You can give them light armor, so they're up to 5 up save, which is okay for light cavalry. Giving them feigned flight, reserve move. They've got fire and flee. They are impetuous because they're greenskins. They do have skirmish though, which is can be pretty useful. They don't have like open order and vanguard move, really good combo. Otherwise, skirmish is probably better. Is it? Yeah, because you're not going to be ranking them up in combat, are you? Anyway, I guess the difference is if you're in open order and somebody charges you, they have to rearrange to you rather than you rearrange to them. So you might want to keep them a smaller unit in open order. They've got this chariot runners ability, which is absolutely brilliant. So basically, they can sit in front of chariots, your chariots, and you can see through these and charge through them as if they weren't there. Chariot runners is an amazing ability if you like your chariots. So these are just like the perfect screen for any chariots you might have. So these are very very strong because of all the abilities and how they synergize with the rest of the army. So they're very very strong. The only real downside is this leadership, because the minute they get hit with a few casualties, they're off. They are, and probably not coming back. So you almost certainly want a musician in there. You probably want a boss in there for the extra leadership. Anything that you can do to stop them from failing panic tests. That's the thing. And the other problem is impetuous means you're going to be charging in when you don't want to be, quite frequently. It's only black orcs that have quell impetuosity in the greenskin rosters. So they're good. It's just impetuous makes them not reliable. So if for impetuous there, but because of impetuous, I would say there. Are they as good as... They're not as good as glade riders, no. Even despite the points difference. Actually, I say that. They're 10, 11, 12, 14... high elves, so it'll be about there. Ooh. Oh. So close. 18. Yeah, you want 19. Probably don't need either of those. 21. I'm just looking at the points. See, you basically get 3 goblins for every 2 glade riders. Glade riders would still win. Yeah. Right. Then let's have a look at some skeletons. Now, somebody pointed out, and I didn't realise this, that the Tomb Kings, which are the last in the roster, so the cavalry will be about there. Tomb Kings have these Tomb King cavalry units, which skeleton horsemen, which are heavy cavalry. Apparently, they are not heavy cavalry. Like, by any stretch of the imagination, they are not heavy cavalry. They don't have first charge. They've got vanguard, and like vanguard is like a light cavalry type thing. I don't care that they're called heavy cavalry. They are absolutely not. Not in any stretch of the imagination. You can give them counter charge, but like, why? I suppose because it's cheap. So you can get them up to 12, 13, 14. So I guess they're good, like anti-light cavalry, but they're just terrible against anything else. Like I just can't see why anybody would take skeleton horsemen given all the other options that are available. I just don't get it. Like, they're just terrible. They're not black knights. If they were black knights, you'd see a lot of people taking them, but they're really not. I think they may even go down there. I'm not sure. Skeleton horse archers, on the other hand, they're good. They're not amazing, but they're good. Because of all the cool stuff they do. So they've got the arrows of Asaph, so they always hit on 5s. The Master's horse has got a BS3, so he always hits on 4s. I didn't spot that before. I'm an idiot. Considering I play with these. They've got light armour, which they can have light armour, which is terrible. They've got regen 6 anyway. Chariot runners is pretty cool if you're running chariots. Again, we've just talked about that. And they've got all the typical undead stuff. They've got reserve moves. They've got scouts. They've got skirmish. They've got scouts built in. I really should have read this before I played with Cavalry. That's really good. They got skirmishers, which they don't get the -1 to hit for, which is a bit annoying. And then they got swift stride as well. So, yeah, they're okay. They're okay. They're not great. They're very good. They're okay. Okay to... I think they're probably at the bottom of B. They're okay. Okay to middling to good to okay. Right, then who have we got left? Hobgoblin, Wolf Riders and Saber-tusks. We'll do Saber-tusks first because I'm going to go on and on and on about how good Hobgoblin Wolf Riders are and how ridiculous it is that they're so much better than actual Wolf Riders. Right. Saber-tusks, I don't know where they are. They're pretty much the only light thing. So toughness 4, 2 wounds is light in Ogre world. Now you can give them Vanguard move, which means they move 8, 16, 25. So they can do a 1 turn charge with Saber-tusk, so they do a Vanguard move of 8, and they've then got a 17-inch threat range with swift stride at 9 and movement of 8. So you got 25. So you got a turn 1 charge with these. They're not terrible. They've got armor bane 1, 2 attacks. They're good at taking out screens, basically. Other than that, they're not really great at anything. If you take a hunter, who's up here somewhere, he's not the last character, is he? If you get a hunter, they lose impetuous, so they lose their weakness. And the hunter then gets swift stride. So there are like synergies for taking a hunter with your... So if you take a hunter with them, they become good. Other than that, they're pretty rubbish, to be honest. So they go down here. As you can tell, I'm not a massive fan of light cavalry. And then finally, Hobgoblin Wolf Riders go straight into S tier. They're just great. They've got all the cool stuff. All the cool stuff. So, now the downside of them is that you have to take a hobgoblin Khan in order to take the unit for like a selection thingy. Now, you know, whatever. I mean, it's 45 points for a semi-decent character. And then you've got... Remember, the job of the light cavalry is to get around the back and target the vulnerable stuff at the back that's hiding behind the main line, right? So, they've got 9-inch move, which is great. You can give them reserve move. You can give them feigned flight. Why wouldn't you? You can give them short bows, which of course you would. So they're up to 16 points again. They're BS3, which again, you know, is not terrible, but it's not great. What they do have is they have evasive, they have fire and flee, so they have feigned flight. So basically, they get to fall back in good order when somebody shoots at them. They get to have a pop at you and then run away when you charge them. They're fast cavalry. They've got open order. They've got the skirmish, so you got that flexibility. They've got swift stride. The only thing they don't have is... Oh, what's the ability where you get to move again at the end of the shooting phase? Is that reserve? Have I just done a brain fart? I thought reserve... I hate it when my brain does this. Ethereal. No, reserve move is the one that's at the end of the movement phase. Vanguard, that's it. Idiot. Yes, they've got reserve moves. Oh, they're just so good. They've just got all the rules. So they get to move 9 inches, have a shot, move again, shoot and run away. Run away if somebody's shooting at them. Like, they've just got all the rules that you want for light cavalry. They're just the perfect light cavalry, pretty much. And you've got to take a hobgoblin boss. They've also got this backstab rule, which I think, do you get like AP? Oh no, you get to reroll hit rolls if you're charging an enemy's flank or rear, which is brilliant because that's where you want them to be. So, yeah, they're really good. They're really good. They get cavalry spears for free, so you may take a free cavalry spear. Why wouldn't you? Absolutely, they're fantastic. So they're definitely S tier as far as right. So are we happy with all of this? Are we happy with yeomen being better than glade riders? Oh. I'm happy with yeomen being better than all of these. I'm not happy with yeomen being better than glade riders. I don't think glade riders are B. Although yeomen have got all the rules. Like, I'm not happy with that because that's not how it should be. But I think that's actually how it is. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Glade rider. They can have reserve move. They've got fire and flee. But the yeoman can take feigned flight, which is such a really good ability because the last thing you want is to do a fire and flee and then the buggers don't rally next turn. I'll show you what I mean. I will show you what I mean. Unit flees. Pivot directly away. Must make a flee move. Doesn't automatically rally. So if you flee as a charge reaction, you don't automatically rally. So the last thing you want really is these firing and fleeing as a charge reaction, and then you buggering up with your ability next time so that they don't bloody rally, which is, you know, it's a dice game. These things happen, and every time you can eliminate some uncertainty, do it. Bretonnia's here, so we're about there. What is it? Sergeant. Oh, we're in combat. Heroes. Mounted yeomen. Yeah, so they've got feigned, flight, fire and flee, open order, reserve, move, scope. They are better. Their ballistic skill's not as good, and their weapon isn't as good. But like, they're better at artillery hunting. They are better. Why games so much? Why have you done this? Where you've made like wood elves who are supposed to be like the king of light everything, like light armor, light infantry. That's their thing, right? They're supposed to be the best at that. Why have you made yeomen better than bloody glade riders? Absolute. Oh God. Just makes my head hurt sometimes. This game. Where do they go? Okay, so they're special, right? And glade riders are core. So maybe that kind of justifies it. Right, are we happy with this bit here? Are warhounds really better than gyro bombers? Like, do you know what? As far as light cavalry go, yeah, because you can have like how many of them? You can have 15 of them for a gyro bomber, and their job is to just screen stuff, you know, and maybe if they don't die when screening stuff, make a couple of charges. So, whereas a gyro bomber spends most of its game pootling around the battlefield, not really doing a lot. Gyrocopters are a bit more effective. God, it's really difficult, isn't it? It's really difficult doing these tier lists because I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to say anything stupid, but still, I think maybe the gyro bomber. Maybe I'm being hard on the gyro bomber, or maybe it's good. It's okay. It's good. Would you say gyro bomber? It's good. It's okay. No, I'd say gyro bomber's good. Outriders, they're okay. I'm not. People really seem to like them though, so I'm going to put them on at the bottom of B rather than leaving them. They're probably good because people seem to like them a lot. I guess to be honest, they're a really good like mobile gun platform because essentially for 5 of those, you've effectively got like 15 handgunners, 15 slightly inaccurate handgunners, which you know. That's good. Yeah, so we're up to good, aren't we, really? Yeah. Spider Riders they're okay. Yeah. And these, yeah. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think that's my light cavalry. Oh, alright. Tier maker done. So, I hope you found this entertaining. Just by way of plans, I've done heavy cavalry. Probably need to redo that one. I've done monstrous mounts. So I've got artillery, chariots, light cavalry, which is this one, heavy infantry, light infantry, monstrous infantry, which I think has a different job to heavy infantry. And then just monsters in general. So I've got like another 7 of these videos to record over the next few weeks. So we've got plenty to go through. I hopefully should be getting the legs to my new table soon. So then once I've got my table all sorted and my new station all, you know, whatevered, then we should be able to do some like watch party sort of content. So my plan for that is to pick a night of the week where I'm, you know, crafting and or painting or whatever, and then watch a battle report and live with, you know, whoever decides to turn up. So a bit of hobby, bit of that. I really want to have a look at that. I have had somebody asked me to have a look at Matt Goldsborough's match at a tournament, and I said I was going to do a video on it, so that's going to be the first one we're going to do. I've watched like the first half an hour of it, and then I thought I should really watch this live and react live, really, because there's a lot of really interesting learning points. And, you know, the point of doing those videos is not to criticise people or call people cheats or anything like that. It's really to sort of learn. Because the thing I'd say, and having been to quite a few tournaments over the years, the human brain, there's a thing called hindsight bias, which is basically where the human brain misremembers things to the benefit of your ego. So you always, 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 always remember everything in a favourable light towards yourself, right? That's a typical, normal human thing. I say always, always, always. Some people, it's the other way because they revel in their vulnerability. But that's a personality disorder for another day. But the vast majority of people misremember things to their benefit. Which I'm a for my masters I did behavioural economics. So I'm not an expert on this. I'm not the world's leading expert on it, but I think I've got a decent understanding of behavioural biases and heuristics and stuff like that. So what I'd say is that at tournaments, people often misremember things in their favour, especially if they've not really been paying attention when they read through the thing the first time round. They've just read it, not properly, and then gone, oh, well, that means I can do that. And then they've got it locked in their minds that, oh, I'm going to do that thing because the rule said I can. But they've not really bothered to read the rule and check whether the two things that they thought worked together actually do or not. You do see that a lot as well. So you see a lot of confirmation bias. It's like if you go on Facebook and you look at some of these rules disputes, right? They go on and on and on, and people, it's just confirmation bias writ large. People are just like, no, I want to do this thing, and therefore that's how I'm going to read the rules. And that's they're like, oh, it's an interesting interaction, isn't it? It's like, no, it isn't, because the rules say like this. It's very rarely do you actually have to go to rules as intended. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you do. I should probably do a video on rules and how to read them at some point. But anyway, yeah, I hope you found this useful or interesting or whatever. If you've liked the video, there is a button to express your recent opinions as to the quality of this work, and if you've got this far, I'd hope you consider as to whether this video has done enough to earn your subscription. I'm over 500 followers now, subscribers, whatever. Just mad. Anyway, toodaloo.